called your child, I'll just take a servant's place. I think I'll go back home. I think I'll go back home. I believe I'll go back home and acknowledge I've done wrong. My father saw me coming. He met me with a smile. He threw his arms around me, saying, "Here's my wandering child." My father told his servants, "Go and kill the fatted calf, and let us all be merry, for my son's come home at last." I think I'll go back home. I think I'll go back home. I believe I'll go back home and acknowledge I've done wrong. Well, when I left my father's house, I was supplied. I made a mistake and I did wrong. Now I'm dissatisfied. I think I'll go back home. I think I'll go back home. I believe I'll go back home and acknowledge I've done wrong. What have I gained by sin, he said, but hunger, grief, and fear? My father's house abounds in wealth, and I'm a starving here. I'll go.
All right. Ready? Not necessarily doing what I wanted to. It'll be okay. All right, guys, welcome in, everybody. We're going to take just a minute so we can give everybody time enough to get in. We'll get started here in just a minute. Not a big chapter today, just a little bit, but it is chock full of some information. Chock full of information. Hopefully that's not too hard to read. Hopefully that's not too hard to read. Let's see if we can find out, though. That is kind of a pain, isn't it? Other look. We'll be ready to go in just a minute. Just giving everybody time. That one actually doesn't look that bad. That one actually doesn't look that bad. That should be okay. At least that one will be okay anyway. All right, just a minute, guys. We're almost ready. I just want to take another minute. Just give people time to get in here. We're not going to wait very long. Not going to wait very long. Just going to give them some time. It's been, we're about 6 minutes in. We'll give them about another minute. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. So give them another minute. Then we'll get started. About 10, 15 seconds. And we're going to go. We're going to just do this. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Everything's going all right. Made a couple little changes, so hopefully nothing got messed up really bad. So we're into the book of Mark. We started at the beginning of the New Testament. We've read all the way through the book of Matthew, and now we've gotten into the book of Mark. We're up into the 13th chapter. We've seen a lot happen. We've seen a lot going on. We've seen a lot of teaching, things like that. Jesus has predicted of his crucifixion and his resurrection to the disciples 2 or 3 different times now. He's talked about the end and things like that, and he's kind of he's dealt with the Pharisees and Sadducees in a few different situations and things like that, and so now we're getting into, he's already had his triumphal entry into Jerusalem, where the acknowledgement of his royalty, his deity, and his messianic nature. So we're seeing that and things like that. So now we're going to get into here in chapter 13. We're going to look a bit more in depth into some predictions, the signs that we're going to see, signs to look for. We're going to talk about the Great Tribulation, and then we're going to look at a parable a little bit later on, and some things like that. So here in chapter 13, Mark writes like this: says, he went out of the temple. One of his disciples said unto him, Master, see what manner of stones and what buildings are here. And Jesus answering said unto him, See thou these great buildings? There shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. He was kind of admiring the beauty of the natural buildings there, and there's nothing wrong with admiring the beauty of natural buildings and landscapes and things like that. But Jesus wants to keep the focus on and remembering that don't put too much focus on earthly and worldly things. He says, you see all these great buildings, there's not going to be one stone left upon another. They're all going to be destroyed. It's going to be it's all going to be destroyed in the end. So it's okay to look upon them and admire a little bit, but don't get stuck up on the natural of things, on earthly items and worldly beauties, but keep in mind the end game of this, okay? So it says, as they sat upon the Mount of Olives over against the temple, Peter, James, and John, which is his inner circle, we've talked about it a couple different times before, and Andrew was there this time as well, and they asked him privately, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign when all these things shall be fulfilled? So you're talking about how everything's going to be destroyed. What are the signs, and what are we supposed to be looking for when everything that you're saying should be fulfilled? And He says, he answering them began to say, take heed lest any man deceive you. He's like, listen, don't let people deceive you. And now is one of the biggest times where we run up to the issue to where people are very much being deceived. They're being lied to. They're being tricked into believing false truths. People are being told that living certain lifestyles are okay. They're acting a certain behavior being okay. Using certain languages and stuff is still okay. And things like that. And there's some, I'll just be honest, there's some craziness out there that are people trying to pass as legit truth and things like that. And people are getting so focused and distracted with worldly things and caught up with things that just honestly are just plumb goofy and crazy. And they're focusing, they're putting their time and attention on this stuff when in reality, you need to have your time and focus and attention put on Jesus Christ and living your life for Him. That's just kind of the way you need to focus on you. I'll go into too much detail on that. So they said, when are these things going to be, and how are the signs? What are the signs that we're going to be able to look for when these things should be fulfilled? And he said, he says, be careful, take heed lest any man deceive you, because for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And again, we have this, and the biggest example of this that I can put out there is like your TV evangelist. I mean, unfortunately, I'll give you an honest opinion, is I don't trust hardly any of them. Honestly, I can't think of one right off the top of my hand that I really do rely on and put trust in and fully believe what they say. Not one comes to mind. Not saying there's not a good one out there. I'm just saying I can't bring anything to mind right now. There's so many of them are deceivers. They may have started off on the right path. They may have started off good with good intentions, doing, trying to do the right thing, spread the gospel and things like that. But the problem is as their ministry grew, all of a sudden everything became more about the money, and it's more of doing the biggest one that kills me is seminars. Well, I'm putting on this seminar, and here's the message for the seminar, and we're doing all this, and this is a 3-day series, or this is a 4-day series, and all this other stuff. And even when they're doing this, they're having people pay to come into these things, and they're gaining money off of it and things like that. It's all about that stuff, and that's just not how it's meant to be. And I'm kind of a stickler for this. Like I don't like the thought of this. Just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. One of the biggest things we have are singing ministries going around. Now there's groups going around, and they're trying to get to where they can sing into churches and things like that. And that's all well and good. I think singing ministry can be a huge thing. It can be a massive positive. But the problem with it is in the same aspect, again, it becomes more about money and things like that. I had a group contact me one time, and they had reached out, and they's like, hey, we would like to come to your church. We'd like to come and perform it and spread the gospel and things like that. And they said, the only thing we ask is that you pay a certain amount, we get a certain amount, and then you provide the room and board and food for us while we're there. And I'm like, no, this is not happening. For one, you're asking me basically to pay your stuff whenever you're asking to come to my church and sing. Not that my church is anything special, but if it was going to be a scenario where singers come in and we paid, for their hotel room and pay for their food or fed them in any way, shape, or form, anything like that, it would be, us as a church contacting them and offering them to come. I'm not saying don't ever take money for, if you've got ministry, if you're a singer, whatever. I'm not saying don't ever take money. If it's your livelihood, it's your livelihood. You got, you got to be able to provide that. But for one, don't put an amount. I talked to a very famous singer, talked to him face to face, and he was at a local church here, and got to talk to him, and we were talking. And he's like, "Well, I'd love to come to your church." And I'm like, "Well, what does it take to get you to a church?" And he said, "Well," he goes, "I ask for, I think it was like $450 up front, and then take up a love offering, and I get whatever the love offering is." Okay. And I just looked at him. I said, "Well, you'll never be at our church. I can't have you at our church because, one, we couldn't afford that. Two, we're a small church. And two, anybody that puts a price on it now, if he looked and said, 'Listen, I'll do it just for a love offering,' that would be fine. Because he's not asking for a certain amount or anything. He's, just love offering, something to help, pay his gas to get him to and from whatever. That's fine. And then if other people want to donate or hand in money, I had an evangelist that come to the church. Never asks for a penny, no matter how long. If he comes, I'd have him every year for a week at a time. He would drive 3.5 hours one way to come down. He never asked for a single penny. Now, we made sure the church paid him every night that he was there for coming down there. We at the very least, he got enough for gas down and back, and got him food for the night. And then we even had people in the church that he would come to visit, or regular members. They would walk up to him and hand him extra money, which is fine. And he never refused it. He never asked for a penny, but he never refused what was handed to him. He just took it as a blessing from the Lord, which is fine. Singers, you have merchandise and stuff that you sell, CDs, things like that. That's fine. Don't sell them in the church. If there's a foyer area, or if there's a fellowship hall, or, sell them out of the trunk of your vehicle, whatever, that's fine like that. But nothing like that should be discussed or ever done inside the church. So, it's become these things, these ministries have become all about the money. They focus on the money, how much money they're making off of it, how much they're doing this, how much they're doing that. And even when it's their livelihood, and this is my feeling on it. You guys don't have to agree with me on this. Again, this is my opinion, but if God puts a calling on your heart or on your life to be, say, to have a singing ministry, to go around to churches and sing, I still feel like you shouldn't ask for anything if that becomes your livelihood. That you should just go in faith and allow God to provide, and know that He will provide what you need and what it takes to get you where you need to be. He's done it for, I couldn't tell you how many people. I know when Jesus told the disciples to go, when they were told to go and preach by twos to all the local towns and everything, travel around the other villages and towns and stuff, He said, don't take any extra shoes, don't take any extra clothes, don't take any food, don't take any money, don't do any of that, don't take any of that with you, but just walk and put your faith in me that I will provide what you need. And He did. They always had a place to sleep, they always had food to eat, they had everything that was provided to them. He provided all of that to them. So, I kind of feel that if you're going to be in that situation, that you need to have enough faith in God and trust that don't ask for a certain amount. Don't ask, don't put a $500 value on what you do. Let God provide what you need, and when it's time to receive it. And then if you do that, if you trust Him and you just go and do His work, He will supply what you need. And, He never know. He may even bless you, even kind of more abundantly in that as well. That's my feeling on it. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with me on it. I know a lot of people don't, but that's just kind of how I feel it should be. So, so He goes, many will come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. He goes, and when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be you not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. So, I don't know if you guys remember, but in the last several months, there's been a huge issue with a lot of the wars that's been going on overseas and things like that. The United States being caught up in it. Somehow we either put ourselves in the middle of it, or somebody puts us in the middle of it. Regardless, we got caught up in it, and then all of a sudden now we're talking about war with somebody, and somebody's talking about making war with us. And if you don't back out and mind your own business, we're going to attack you. There was all kinds of war happening. There's all kinds of rumors of war happening. There was threats going everywhere. And this is all just part of what Christ says will happen. And we noted that these talks are more and more as the days go by, as the years get later and things like that. We're seeing all this stuff pop up more, and it's getting to be kind of like a scary place. But he said, "Be ye not troubled." He said, "For these things must needs be," which means these things must happen. But even when this happens, the end is not yet. It's not going to be the end yet, but more will happen. He says, "For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles, and these are the beginnings of sorrows." This is just the beginning of sorrows. This is just when things are going to start. Things are starting to kick in and stuff like that. So that's not what's going to happen when the world comes to an end. That's going to be the beginning of sorrow time, and it's going to run you into what the Bible talks about as tribulation time, tribulation period. But it's just letting you know that the world's going to be in a very bad place when all this takes place. He says, "But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils, and in the synagogues ye shall be beaten, and ye shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them. And the gospel must first be published among all nations," which the gospel needs to be spread to all nations. And it's making it out there. It's getting there, and it's making a huge reach. Social media and the internet is helping with that so much. People are getting the gospel out. There are places where the truth is being taught, even though a lot of resources are not teaching the truth. Unfortunately, there's more teaching a false truth than what there is teaching the real truth, and that's a scary thing. But that's how he said it's going to be. So the best thing you can do, my best advice to you is get you a King James Version Bible, read it, study it, know what it says, and know when somebody's attempting to deceive you. Don't let somebody trick you because they know something. They know more about the Bible than you do, or they know more scripture than you. Don't let that stuff interfere. Don't let that stuff get to you. Just make sure that you know the word. Make sure that you've got it. So keep that in mind. He says, "Nation rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles, and there are beginnings of sorrows. Take heed for yourselves, they shall deliver you up to councils. Synagogues shall beat you. You shall be brought to the rulers and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them. And the gospel first must be published among all nations. But when they shall lead you and deliver you up, take no thought beforehand what you shall speak, neither do you premeditate." So, when Jesus was before people, when he was questioned, when he was asked, you notice a lot of times he didn't really say a whole lot. He didn't make a lot of statements. He didn't do a lot of things, but he just kind of stood there and let them talk. Now he said a few words occasionally, and when he was before Pilate, he made a couple small statements, but never did he didn't go running at the mouth. The minute he was accused, he didn't immediately lash back, or he didn't even try to backpedal and defend himself or anything like that. A lot of times you just stood and let them talk. A lot of times the people will talk. If you just stand back and let them talk, they will show their ignorance and kind of embarrass themselves in what they're doing. But he just kind of let them. He just stood back and let them reveal their true form to people, and handled things that way. When it was time to talk, he would talk. So what he's saying is whenever it comes to that point, whenever you're drug down the road, whenever you're brought before, judges and rulemakers, when you're brought before the law and things like that, don't instantly go on defense of yourself or anything like that. Don't sit there and, our instinct is to defend ourselves. He says, don't worry about none of that. And he goes, and don't try to think ahead about what you're going to say or anything like that at all. But he says, just stop And whatsoever shall be given to you in that hour, that speak ye. For it is not ye that speak, but the Holy Ghost. He's just saying, set back and let the Spirit talk through you. Let Him be a part of you, and let Him use you as a mouthpiece for what is done, because the Spirit will never lead you wrong. It is the Spirit of God, and He will give you exactly what you need to say and make sure that you say the right thing. So he says, don't think beforehand and don't premeditate what you're going to say, but in that hour, just speak, and let the Holy Ghost speak through you. So he says, now the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father the son, and the children shall rise up against their parents, and shall cause them to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that shall endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved. He's talking about how bad the world's going to get. It's not, Christians aren't going to be the only ones betrayed, but children are going to come against their parents. Parents are going to come against their children, brother against brother, sister against sister. Those people are going to even give up their own family to save themselves. It's going to be a horrible thing. It's going to be a tragic thing, but unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. So then we get in, after all this, we're going to get into what is called the Great Tribulation, or the tribulation period, right? So, but it says, when ye shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing where it ought not, let him that readeth understand. Then let them that be in Judea flee to the mountains, and let him that is on the housetop not go down into the house, neither enter therein, or take anything out of his house. Let him that is in the field not turn back again for to take up his garment. But woe to them that are with children, and to them that give suck in those days, and pray ye that your flight be not in the winter. Preparation. Just be preparation. Don't look back. Don't turn back for nothing. Be ready. Don't let anything behind you interfere with what's in front of you. Keep your eye on the prize, if you will. He says, in those days shall be affliction, such as was not from the beginning of the creation which God created unto this time, and neither shall be. In the tribulation period, when the tribulation time comes, the great tribulation or tribulation period, when it comes, we've never seen suffering like what's going to happen. This is the time when God's wrath begins to be poured down upon the earth. The time of mercy is over. And those that are left are pretty well set to endure the punishment of the wrath of God and to go on. So he says there's something coming when the tribulation starts. There's going to be affliction beyond what this world has ever seen. So, you don't want to be here when that happens. So, affliction, in those days shall be affliction such as what not from the beginning of creation, which God created under this time, neither shall be. And except that the Lord hath shortened those days, no flesh should be saved, but for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days. And then if any man shall say to you, lo, here is Christ, or lo, he is there, believe him not. For false Christs and false prophets shall rise, and shall show signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. But take ye heed, behold, I have foretold you all things. If you never get anything else out of this, if you never learn another single thing, if nothing is ever picked up on, remember this and know this and expect this. Jesus will never, ever, 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 ever come back to this world in the way that he did. He will only return in one way. And that is described in the book of Revelation as he will come back on a cloud of glory. The eastern skies will split. He will step out. That is the only way. So if anybody ever says Jesus has reappeared and returned and he's in Jerusalem, or he's in Israel, or he's over here, or he's in a hut, or he's up on this mountain, or he's down in this valley, and people need to go, do not listen Ignore that because that is false. Even if they're saying they're doing miracles, because listen, what's going to happen is the devil's going to rise. There's going to be a false prophet and the Antichrist come up. Now, these are going to have power to do things, which means they're going to have the abilities. It says they're going to show signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. They're going to be able to do miracles, raise from the dead. They're going to be able to rain fire down from heaven, from the heavens above. They're going to be able to do this stuff to be able to try and prove that they are who they say they are, but they are in fact lying to you and deceiving you. Do not be deceived by who they say they are. Christ will only return in one way. If you never pick up anything else, if you never remember anything else, Christ will only return in one manner. He will not step foot back on this earth like that again. So do not be fooled. Now, after this, he says, but in those days after the tribulation, okay, so after the tribulation period, the sun shall be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And then shall he send his angels and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. This is the it. This is the end. This is the end. This is it, is what I'm trying to say. This is the final, I don't know how you want to look at this. Is the final thing. This is all there's going to be. So don't, don't expect something different, but that's it. And then he uses a parable. He says, now learn a parable of the fig tree. When her branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is near. So ye in like manner, when ye shall see these things come to pass, know that it is nigh, even at the doors. When you begin to see this, no, these are the signs to look for, to know that things are coming. These are the signs to recognize, know that this is getting close and this is going to happen. Right? He says, verily I say unto you that this generation shall not pass till all these things be done. When you begin to see these signs, when these signs begin to appear, the people that are alive, that generation will not pass. And they will not leave this world through the grave, but it'll be through either the rapture or the destruction of the earth. He says, but of that day and that hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son, but the Father. Everybody that says that they can look in the Bible and they can predict, all these guys that's predicted the end of the world, I couldn't tell you how many times. We've had, 3 predictions this year alone? The first notable prediction somebody ever gave was Y2K. When we switched from 1999 to the year 2000, they thought everything was going to go to pots because they didn't think a computer could count past 1,999 for whatever reason. But these are the things to look for, and nobody knows when they're coming. You just keep an eye out. You watch, and that's what you do. He says, none of that day and none of that hour knoweth the man, not the angels or the which are in heaven or the Son, but the Father only. Take ye heed, watch and pray, for ye know not when the time is. Nobody knows. There's not going to be a prediction. There's not going to be an accurate, there's going to be predictions. People are going to predict because people are goofy, but they're not going to be able to actually predict when the end of time is. There's no secret codex or anything like that in the Bible. As I said, he says, for the Son of Man is a man taking a far journey, who left his house and gave authority to his servants and to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. Watch ye therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh, at even, or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest, coming suddenly, he find you sleeping. And what I say unto you, I say unto all. And it's simply this: watch. Just watch. Watch and pray. Watch and pray. Keep your eyes open. Read the word. Study it. Know it. And keep your eyes open and watch and pray. That's all you can do. And know that when you begin to see these things, it's coming. It's coming. And that's it. It's all you got to do. It's very, very simple. So that's if there would ever be an overall theme to this chapter and to this message, it's watch. Just watch and do not let yourself be deceived. Watch what's happening. Watch the environment. Watch the news. Watch what's going on. Don't take everything you see on the news wholeheartedly either. I don't know what side of the aisle you lean on as far as politicals, but I'll just tell you, both sides lie. They lie in their favor. That's just how it is. They're politicians. And I would say 99.9 plus 10% of politicians are liars. Almost every single one of them. I don't know. I'll leave it there. But anyway, watch and pray. Know your Bible. If you don't have a relationship with the Lord, get a relationship with Him. That's most important. Do that. Know what your Bible says. Read it. Get to know it. And then just watch and pray. Watch and pray. That's the best thing you can do. Okay. All right, guys. That's it today. We're done. That's not bad. 37 minutes. So I should have kept your attention most of the time. So I thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate y'all. We will be back next week doing this again. We'll go through chapter 14 next Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you ain't got nothing to do, come hang out with us again. Thank you guys very much, and y'all have a good night, and God bless.
Well, when I left my father's house, I was supplied. I made a mistake and I did wrong. Now I'm dissatisfied. I think I'll go back home. I think I'll go back home. I believe I'll go back home and acknowledge I've done wrong. What have I gained by sin, he said, but